All right, good morning. My name is Allison Swanson. I'm an instructor with North Central Iowa Ag in the classroom. And today, this is your classroom. This is a cornfield here in the southernmost tip of Webster County, Iowa. This is our harvested cornfield. We're obviously still harvesting. Behind me is our already harvested soybean field. And beyond, if you can see that barn back there, right beyond that barn is Boone County. And we also farm in Boone County as well. So we are right on the Webster Boone County line. And actually, my husband and I, we live in Webster County, but the home farm is in Boone County. So we are farming on one of our farms in Webster County today. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of the lay of the land here. You can see that we've been harvesting in this field since yesterday. Hopefully we'll finish up here yet this morning. This is our ride for today, the John Deere Combine. It'll be a lot warmer in there today. It's very windy today, about 30-mile-an-hour gusts of wind. So that makes it a little cold, but fall finally arrived. Okay, now I'm going to turn the camera around and introduce you to our farmer, which is my husband. This is Jeremy Swanson. He is our farmer for today who will be leading us on our farm chat. So he is the expert. He is going to tell us all about farming corn and how the combine works, where the corn will be taken after it's harvested, and answer all of your questions today. So we thank you all for joining us. We have received a lot of your questions already. We sure appreciate that. So we hopefully will be able to answer all your questions as we go through the farm chat today.
Hey, voice is off.
So go ahead and feel free to type in any questions that might come along as we go throughout our farm chat, and I'll feed them to Jeremy as we ride along. So hopefully you'll learn a lot today and have some fun as we go. So I'm going to hand Jeremy the headset and we're going to go combine some corn.
All right. Hi, everybody. As Allison said, my name's Jeremy Swanson. I farm here in Webster and Boone County. Raise mostly corn and soybeans, but I also grow one field of peas for a frozen food company and one field of sweet corn for the same frozen food company. So some of the food you may get at the grocery store may have been grown on my farm. So with that, let's walk around the combine a little bit and get inside and get out of this wind today. So this is a John Deere combine for the farm kids in the room and the case lovers. I'm sorry, you're going to have to ride in a green one today, but this is John Deere combine. We've got an 8-row corn head on this machine. So to give you perspective, the front of the combine ends right in here. And everything in front of this would be what we call the head. So we can take this off and put a different head on for combining beans. There may be other attachments for other crops and things that could go on this machine, but today we have a corn head on it. So let's go around the front for a second. So as you'll see live here in a minute, each row of corn is going to come right down through here. And the head is going to take and pull the stalk of corn, pull that plant down towards the ground, and the ears are going to pop off, and these chains, excuse me, these chains are going to take the ears of corn up, and that auger across there is going to pull all those ears of corn to the center of the machine, and then they will go through the combine. So there's a lot of moving parts through here that moves very fast and really can be very dangerous. So you always have to be careful to not start the machine when anybody's around because they could get hurt really badly. But that's the basic principle of how the corn head works. One of the things that corn heads today do a really nice job of, there's a lot of material on a corn plant. Those stalks are really tall. There's a lot of leaves, and all that needs to be managed long-term on the farm. So what's really nice is this corn head, when it pulls that stalk down, it starts chewing up the stalks and the leaves. And then we have an attachment underneath our head that helps push all that down tight to the ground so that the biology in the soil can start chewing on it and break it up and break it down, so we can get some of those nutrients back out of it for next year's crop. Just in case you haven't seen an ear of corn without the kernels on it, that's what a cob is. And all the little kernels of corn are attached to that cob. And so this machine is taking and shelling all of the kernels off and separating the kernels from the cob. All right, one thing I want to make note of here on the front, notice up on top of the cab, there's that yellow dome looking thing. That's a GPS antenna. And I'm going to talk more about that when we get in the cab, but I wanted to point that out to you here right now, so you know what we're talking about when we get inside. Okay, let's move along the side here. So as I mentioned, all the corn comes to the middle, and we call this the throat or the feeder house. And all the corn's going to come through the feeder house. And then right here in the belly of this machine is where the vast majority of the kernels of corn get separated off of the cob. And then the cobs get thrown out the back end along with any leaves or stalks that are with it. And the corn itself gets shuttled up to the top, and there's a big tank up on top there that we can get a better look at from the cab. But the corn will all set up in there until we get full or we're ready to unload it. When we're ready to unload, this long tube that sticks out the back end of the combine is what we call the unloading auger. And that unloading auger is going to swing out to the side of the machine, and that allows us to move the corn from the tank over into our grain cart or semi or whatever we're trying to haul out with. There's a lot of moving parts in this thing, and there's a lot of things happening all at once, and it really is amazing how quickly all of this happens. I apologize, our combine is really dirty today, and we had some sprinkles of rain yesterday afternoon while we were harvesting, and when you get a little bit of dirt on it and a little bit of rain, it just makes a mess of things. So if any of you enjoy power washing, you're welcome to come power wash the combine anytime you'd like. All right, should we go for a ride? Let's do it. You all should feel very fortunate today because I took time to wash the windows so that you could see very clearly what was happening. And the only thing I like less than washing windows is washing windows when it's really, really, really windy. All right. Couple things in the cab. You notice I have two different screens here. These are basically computers for farmers. This screen here is connected to that yellow dome that you saw outside, along with a whole bunch of sensors that are back on the combine. And what that's doing is it's creating a map as we harvest through the field, and it's telling me how many bushels of corn I'm getting in each spot across the field. Then when harvest is over, I can take all of the data that this has collected and put it on my computer, and I can start to analyze how each area of the field did and why some areas may have done better and some areas may have done worse, and try to make decisions on how to improve for next year using all of that data. This monitor down here is also tied to a different set of sensors on the combine. And this helps me adjust what the combine's doing in terms of how well it's separating the corn from the cobs and make sure I'm just getting corn in the grain tank, and make sure I'm not throwing any corn out the back end of the combine. Make sure I'm getting it all in the grain tank. This combine does have the ability to actually drive itself with auto steer that is tied to that yellow glow GPS antenna on the cab of the combine. We do not use it during corn. We do during soybeans. All right, let's combine some corn. All right, here we go. When I'm harvesting, the speed that I drive varies on the corn and how good it is and how all my settings are for the machine. Today, this corn isn't very good. It's not yielding very well, so I'm able to drive pretty fast. I'm running about 5.5 to 5.7 miles per hour. When we've been in really good corn, a lot of times we have to slow down to maybe 4 to 4.5 mile an hour. As I mentioned earlier, this head is taking 8 rows, and that's a fairly common size of head. I remember when I was a kid, we had a 4-row head, and it was a really big deal when Dad upgraded to a 6-row head. And now we're combining with an 8-row head, and there's a lot of farmers that have a 12-row head. And then there's a few farmers today that have a 16-row head. So that's the biggest that I know of right now, but 8 and 12-row heads are pretty common in today's agriculture. So the question is, have I seen any disease this year that's affected my crops? Yes, I have seen a lot of disease this year, and that's part of the reason this corn is not yielding very well, is because the disease got it and killed it off early. I did spray a fungicide, and a fungicide is a tool to help prevent against diseases and can have some curative help heal the plant if it's already infected with disease. So we did spray that, but there was additional diseases that came in really late in the growing season, and it really hurt the crops this year. So now you can see the corn coming into the grain tank behind me. I got the unloading auger coming out on the side. And my grain cart driver is going to be pulling underneath it here shortly, and we will unload on the go. So we're going to transfer the corn that we're collecting in the tank over to the grain cart. And then that cart will, when it's full, will go up and unload all the corn onto the semi. And then the semi will take the corn to our local elevator for storage, and then I can sell it when I'm ready. So this corn, when I take it to the elevator, it's hard to say for sure what it will be used for, but most of the corn around here is probably going to a feed mill to be turned into hog feed to feed pigs, or possibly get transferred to an ethanol plant where it will be turned into fuel that can be used to fuel your vehicles. I do sell some of my corn directly to an ethanol plant, which allows me to make a little more money. I get a little better price when I haul it directly to the ethanol plant. I'm not able to do that in the fall because I don't have the trucks to be able to haul it that far and be able to keep the combine moving. So I don't haul much there during the fall. So how much corn fits inside the combine? I'm not 100% sure, but I think our combine, I think we can get around 350 bushels in the combine. My grain cart will hold about 1,000 bushels, and my semi holds about 1,000 bushels. And 1 bushel is about the size of a 5-gallon bucket. So I've got 350 5-gallon buckets on the combine. So how many bushels of corn? So this field, I'm running about 190 bushels per acre, which is more than what my monitor shows me right now, but we have not calibrated this monitor yet. So the monitor is running a little low. And I mentioned earlier, that's not very good because when one of the things that as farmers, we're running a business, we have to be able to make money to keep the doors open. Sorry, I got to slide over a little bit. I forgot I had a partial pass here. Not doing very well with talking and driving today. So when I started putting together my budget for my income and expenses last winter, I needed about 190 to 200 bushel corn to break even. So if I'm harvesting 190 bushel corn, I'm probably not going to make much money this year. Okay, so the question is, what is a partial pass? So you'll see here in a minute, but when I was combining earlier, I got partway across the field and had to stop because my grain tank got full and my semi wasn't back to the field yet. So I had to stop partway up here. And for the purposes of the farm chat here today, I want to be able to combine all the way to the other end of the field. So I wanted to slide over and so we can just combine all the way down. So I started planning for this crop about this time last year. And I had to make decisions on what nutrients I was going to need out in the field to feed these plants. These plants take a lot of nutrients, which the soil supplies some of that, but we need to add a little bit extra. It's kind of like many of you maybe take a multivitamin. You get a lot of our nutrients for our own bodies from our food, but we don't always get enough, so we have to take a multivitamin. And then the soil and feeding these plants is very much the same way. So I start making those decisions about a year ago. And then in the spring, we plant the crop. So usually in April, sometimes early May, we will start planting and we'll put the seeds in the ground. And then we will make a couple sprayer passes. We will spray to control the weeds and sometimes provide a few additional nutrients if the plants are telling us they're short on something, which we determine through testing. We can test the leaves and the plants to find out what they need for nutrients. And then we will continue to monitor that through the summer and continue to watch for things like diseases, as we talked about earlier, sometimes insects. There's some bugs that can cause problems with the plants, and we have to spray for those. So we spend a lot of time in the sprayer through the summer managing this crop. And then we have to hope for the right amount of rain and the right amount of sunshine and all of those things to get this plant all the way to harvest. And so we started combining beans back around the middle of September. I think it was maybe somewhere between the 15th and the 20th of September. I don't remember when we got done with combining the soybeans. It was probably around the 1st of October or that first week of October. And then we started combining corn. Last week was pretty wet, so we did not do any harvesting last week. And at this point, we've got about 7 or 8 days of corn harvesting left. So this field that we're in now is 56 acres. And an acre is about the size of a football field.
Yes. Why do we need corn?
Why do we need corn? Well, corn is a very important feed source for livestock, both cattle and hogs, chickens, goats, sheep, all eat corn. It's a good protein source for them, amongst other things. Corn is also used for numerous other things. We can eat corn. We do not eat this corn, though. That is a different kind of corn. Keep going. Corn syrup. There are corn chips, corn cereal, corn oil. There's lots of things like that. And then there's lots of things that aren't food related that are made from corn and byproducts from corn. How long have I been farming? Well, you might say since I was old enough to ride in a tractor, but I rented my first farm in 2006, I believe it was. And my dad retired from farming in 2020. And so that was my first year farming full-time, our entire family farming operation. So my dad farmed and my grandpa farmed and my great-grandpa farmed. And it gets a little fuzzy before that. My favorite part about farming is harvest. I love harvesting. We put a work in for over a year, got a lot of time and energy in growing this crop, and now we get to reap the harvest and get the benefit from all our hard work. But one of the other big things with farming is there's just so many different challenges to it. Like I have to be a mechanic and be able to work on the equipment. I have to have some agronomy knowledge and knowing how does a corn plant grow and what does it need to grow and thrive. Have to have some banking knowledge as to income and expenses and how to make money at what we're doing, as well as it takes a lot of money to farm. So sometimes we have to borrow money, and we're working with attorneys and accountants, and there's just a lot of aspects to farming, and the challenge of understanding those different pieces and putting good people around me to support me in the areas that I'm not as good at. I like harvesting corn better than harvesting beans. It's faster paced because there's more bushels. Corn, like I said, we're combining 190 bushel corn. We'd really rather be combining 250 bushel corn. And beans are more like 60 bushels per acre. So corn is a lot faster. Do you have to be a certain age to drive the combine or tractor? Legally, no. There is no age to that. You can drive it whatever as long as you can do so safely. But your legs have to be long enough to reach the foot pedals on the floor, because those are what help you start and stop. The most challenging part about harvest. Oh. No, that's a tough question. Well, there's several. One is weather. We have to have dry conditions to be able to get into the fields and not get stuck in the mud. Breakdowns, you always hope that all the equipment keeps running and does not break and cause problems. Another one is do you have enough people to help to get it out and get it out efficiently? Yeah, those are probably some of the bigger ones. How old do you have to be to own your own field? I don't think there's any age to that. As long as you got the money to do so, you can own it at any age. I bought my first farm. Oh gosh, I think I was probably 26 or 7 years old, maybe, when I bought my first farm. Only farm. Farm ground is very expensive. So let me give you an idea. 1 acre today costs around $10,000 to $12,000. So you guys can do the math later. If I'm in a 56-acre field times $10,000, how much money would it take to buy this field? Ah, yes. What's going to happen to this field when I'm done harvesting? We are just going to let this field set just as it is. So we do no till, so no tillage at all. We'll just let this field sit, and next spring we'll come in with the planter and plant right into this just as this is. Some people do tillage, and so they will come in with a tractor and there's different kinds of tillage tools, and that tillage tool will take and kind of flip the soil over and mix in all of this corn stalk residue and get it mixed into the soil. Next year, I will plant this field to soybeans, and soybeans do fairly well in a no-till environment. They don't necessarily need black dirt to thrive and grow. and get started. So we like to do this. The no-till helps keep the soil in place. It's less likely that the soil will move when it rains or blow with the wind. Helps keep everything, keeps that dirt right in place. Do I ever bale my corn stalks? No, I do not bale my corn stalks. I don't have any livestock to feed it to. And so I just leave it all set right where it is. There's a lot of nutrients in those corn stalks, which is why some people like to feed those to cattle. And that's a great option for them. But since I don't have cattle, I just let those nutrients go right back into the ground and feed next year's crop. All right, well, I'm going to turn the headset back over to Allison, and I appreciate you guys all riding along with me today. This has been fun.
Okay. How was that? Did everyone have a good time today? Did you learn some fun things about harvesting corn? Hopefully so. Thank you all for joining us today on our Harvest Farm Chat. And hopefully we'll see you in your classrooms sometime soon if we haven't already. So thanks again for joining us and hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye from the Swansons.